repeat the whole string again, Sanskrit practice, read the translation, and then continue in the purport, where we left off last week. Okay, 6th chapter, text 20 to 23. Yatro paramate chitam.
Yatro paramate chittam.
Nirudam yoga sevaya.
Nirudam yoga sevaya.
Yatra chaivatmanatmanam.
Yatro chaivatmanatmanam.
Pasyanatmani tushyati.
Pashyanatmani tushyati.
Sukham matyantikam yattad.
Sukham madhyantikam tatyam.
Buddhigraya matindriyam.
Buddhigraya matindriyam.
Veti yatra na chaivayam.
Veti yatra na chavayam.
Stitas chalati tatvata.
Stita chalvati tatstata.
Yam labha chaparam labham.
Yam labha cha param labham.
Manyate nadikam tata.
Manyate nadigam tata.
Yasmin stito na dukena.
Yasmin sintato na dukhena.
Guruna pi vichalyate.
Guruna pi vicharate.
Tam vidya dukha samyoga.
Tavidya sat viyoga.
Now listen, don't just look at the words, listen to what I'm saying, and then it makes it easy. You're just repeating what I'm saying. If it's getting away, if you're finding it hard to do it from reading the words, just try to remember what I've said and repeat it. Even close the book.
Okay.
It's not too many words to remember. Let's do that last line again. Tam vidya dukha samyoga.
Tam vidya du sakham yoga.
Viyogam yoga samgitam.
Viyogam yoga sangitam.
Samgyatam.
Samgyatam. Sangyatam.
Okay. Who's the lucky soul to read the English?
In the
Bob,
state,
do you want to read?
Yep. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact.
Wow, doesn't that sound good?
Great.
So this is the perfection of yoga. Prabhupada wrote one small book called The Perfection of Yoga, which is based on actually the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that small book, The Perfection of Yoga. So, yoga, as it's saying in the beginning of this verse, restrain the mind from matter. So that's the essence, the purpose of any kind of yoga is to control the mind. You have to remove the mind from material thoughts of sense gratification. So that has to be done. That's the foundation of yoga. And you withdraw the mind from material thoughts, and what do you think about? You think about, as it's saying here, your real self. Your real self, Atman Atmanam. So by the purified mind, you realize the self or the soul. And once you realize the soul, and you can only realize the soul if you take your mind away from material thoughts. Obviously, you can't be thinking about matter and spirit at the same time. So if you're thinking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, you can think of it, gives you an opportunity to think about the soul. If you're thinking about the soul, it means you're not thinking about sex, drugs, rock and roll. You can't think about both at the same time. So that's the idea with yoga. Pull the mind away from mundane thoughts. Remember, it's not COVID consciousness, it's Krishna consciousness. So like that. So one thing or the other. So you withdraw the mind, restrain the mind from material thoughts, and focus the mind on the self, which is the self means us, the individual self, and also the supreme self. So there's a loving relationship between the individual soul and the supreme soul. And when we're absorbed in thinking about that, our eternal soul has a relationship with the supreme eternal soul, then what happens? What happens when you realize I'm an eternal soul and I have a relationship with the supreme eternal soul, Krishna, who's the reservoir of all bliss? I'm his loving servant. I love him and he loves me. When we realize that, then what happens? And it's said in this verse, so it's not rocket science. After it says the ability, characterized by the ability to see the self by the pure mind, you relish and rejoice in the self, then what happens? So it's the next step.
Is it
when you become self-realized and realize you're not the body, you're a spirit soul, the soul is servant of Krishna.
You talk about experiencing samadhi?
Yeah, that's the final stage. But even as soon as we realize we're not the body, that we're a soul, and we have a loving relationship with Krishna, he's our master, the supreme soul, then even before samadhi,
boundless transcendental happiness.
Yeah, doesn't that sound good? Boundless transcendental happiness realized through transcendental senses. So as soon as you use the senses in Krishna's service, not in sense gratification, but in Krishna's service, the senses become purified. So that's why it said transcendental senses. So what does that mean? Does it mean we're all going to get bionic eyes or something? No, in one sense, it's our same eyeballs and the same eyelids and the same nose and mouth, but you're just using the eyes and nose and mouth and ears and everything, hands and legs in Krishna's service, and not in our own selfish service. So as soon as you do that, they become transcendental. You understand that? So it's not like you wake up in the morning and they turn green and purple or anything like that, your senses, or they become invisible or something like that. No, but just that how you're using them. If you use them for personal sense gratification, they're material senses. If you use them for Krishna's service, they're transcendental senses. Because everything ultimately is God's energy, right? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. Everything is Krishna's energy. But Krishna's energy used for sense gratification, what do we call that? When you use Krishna's energy or Krishna's property for your sense gratification and forgetfulness of Krishna, what do you call that?
Maya.
Yeah, that's Maya, that's illusion. But when you use the same things for Krishna's energy, for Krishna's pleasure, what do you call that?
It's a transcendental happiness.
Yeah, you get transcendental happiness, and that's devotional service. That's devotional service. So you're using everything in Krishna's service. That's called bhakti. That's devotional service. And one of the results of bhakti is you become transcendentally blissful. You become very happy. And what's the result of that? When you start to feel on a high, like Prabhupada said, stay high forever, because the hippies in the 60s, remember, they would go on a high through LSD, but what would happen after the high on LSD?
They'd go through the low.
You go up and go down. And but Prabhupada said, you chant Hare Krishna, you can stay high forever, because they were into staying high. That's why they wanted to take the LSD, but they couldn't stay high. They would come crashing down. And so Prabhupada, he enticed them. Prabhupada was so brilliant. He's coming from India, but he managed to tune in exactly to where the people were at, where the audience was at. They were looking for a high. So Prabhupada said, okay, we'll give you a stay high forever formula. And they were, yes, yes, we want that, we want that. So they would come. Many times they would come, you know, after they'd taken LSD and they'd be on a real bummer. And then they'd come in like really zonked out into the temple. And what was it called? What was that? What was the first one? New York, 26 Second Avenue, I think it was. 26 Second Avenue. And what was it?
Matchless gift.
Yeah, what was the address for that? I should remember. I should shoot myself for not remembering it.
22nd.
Something, I'm trying to remember the numbers. It was
Second Avenue.
some number of avenue and some street number. Anyway, it was some auspicious number, which for becoming the first temple in ISKCON, 26 Second Avenue. No, I think it was 26 Second Avenue. But I can't 100% guarantee because my brain is not transcendental completely yet. So yeah, so once you realize that transcendental happiness, what's the next thing that happens according to this verse?
Oh, one never departs from the truth.
Yeah, but you become fixed. You become, when you realize this, the happiness of your loving relationship with Krishna, you become fixed in that. You never want to go back to sense gratification again. Because you remember that sense gratification is like pathetic. The happiness you get from that, you have a few moments of happiness from the LSD or eating some food or drinking beer or having sex or whatever, a few moments of happiness, but this is like unlimited transcendental happiness. And so you become fixed in that. You just want to do more and more service because more and more service means more and more happiness. And that's unlimited happiness. So you become fixed in that truth. You realize this is the truth. This is the truth. That I am a soul, eternal soul, and Krishna is the supreme soul, and I have a loving relationship with him, and he's the master, I'm the servant, I should serve him. So you realize this is the truth. And even if a Christian or a Muslim or a Jehovah's Witness or a Buddhist comes up to you or whatever like that, you're not going to shake. You're not going to shake. You're not going to move from that because you've already realized it. It means you're experiencing it. Once you experience that happiness of devotional service, that relationship, you experience that pleasure from the relationship with Krishna, no one can change that. No one can make you give that up like that. Okay, once you become fixed in the truth, then what happens?
It's no matter how big the difficulty, and then it doesn't get shaken.
You missed one point. Now that's true, but there's one thing in between that happens. This is one of my favorite things. Yam lava chaparam labam.
No greater gain.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Established thus, one never departs from the truth. Yep. And upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. That's cool, isn't it? Imagine you're experiencing so much bliss that you think, wow, this is the crest, this is the pinnacle, this is the top rung of the ladder. There's nothing more than this. And that's a safe. Then you're safe. When you realize there's nothing more than this, then you're safe. Then there's no way Maya's going to hammer you. Means you're completely satisfied. Complete satisfaction. In Sanskrit, it's called Yanatma Suprasidhati. Complete satisfaction. Very important verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 6. Anyone that's got a Bhagavatam or can borrow Bhagavatam or look at it online, look at that verse. First canto, second chapter, text 6. 1.2.6. Okay. Means first canto, second chapter, text 6, 1.2.6. Very wonderful verse. Prabhupada quoted many times. Very important verse. Savai pum samparada mo yato bhakti radaksajayo itikiya pradita yatma suprasidhati. That the supreme perfection for all humanity is that by which one can attain to the transcendental, loving devotional service of the Lord. Such service must be uninterrupted and unmotivated in order to completely satisfy the self. So that's a complete satisfaction of the self. If we render devotional service with 2 qualifications, what are the 2 qualifications if you want complete satisfaction from your devotional service?
Don't expect anything. Don't expect.
Well, I said unmotivated, but that's basically the same thing. Yeah, not expecting anything is being unmotivated. Yeah, you're doing it for Krishna's pleasure, not with the idea that I'm going to please Krishna and I'm going to get something back. That I'll do this for Krishna and Krishna's going to do this for me. So that's you're expecting something out of it. So that's like business. So then it's not pure bhakti anymore. So as long as you don't expect anything from it, which means unmotivated, just simply for the pleasure of Krishna, because we're a servant, it's our natural relationship. And then uninterrupted. So it means continuously, means every day. It means we don't just do bhakti on Sundays. We're not like a Hare Krishna Christian, like that. We do it just on Sundays or just on Mondays or whatever like that. Or a demigod worshipper will just worship Shiva on Mondays and someone else on Saturdays and so forth like that. No, we worship Krishna every day. And as much as we can from morning till night, whenever we can. I mean, there's going to be a few gaps, definitely. It's not interrupted as in the beginning. It's not going to be uninterrupted in terms of 24/7, but it should be definitely 7, definitely 7 days. But you won't be able to realistically do 24 hours of devotional service in the very beginning, but that's okay. But you're trying to do the best you can. So, you put in a couple hours into chanting, you put in an hour or 2 into reading like that or hearing classes, you put an hour or so into cooking for Krishna, you put half an hour into cleaning for Krishna, so slowly it builds up. Put an hour into talking to other people about Krishna, trying to spread Krishna consciousness. Put half an hour into making garlands for Krishna. Slowly it adds up more and more. And then, of course, which is unlimited, is like just thinking about Krishna. You could be sitting down under a tree, in a meadow of flowers or at the beach, and you're just thinking about Krishna. Krishna's dancing with the gopis and stealing butter and yogurt and feeding to the monkeys. And he just bashed one demon called Denakasura, like that, or chopped off Shishupal's head or something like that. So you could just be thinking about Krishna. So slowly that thinking becomes more like that. So that's what brings the satisfaction. The more we have that uninterrupted, unmotivated devotional service. So like that's saying in this verse, upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Even if my dad was to come up to me and say, my dear son, if you come back to me and give up this silly Hare Krishna, I'll give you $1 million. I'd say, what would I say? What should I say?
Keep your $1 million. You probably need it.
Here's my bank account. No, I should say, thanks for offering, Dad, but I'm very happy, with Hare Krishna. You can keep your $1 million. Of course, you can still give me the $1 million, but I'll stay with Hare Krishna and I'll use it in Krishna's service. One guy reminds me. One guy, I met him on the street and said, "Oh, hey, I don't want a book, but I'll give you $10. But this $10 is just for you. This is not. I know you, Hare Krishnas. You give everything to Krishna." But he said, "I'm giving you $10, but the condition is I'm giving it just for you, not for Krishna." Okay. I said, "Okay, sure." So he gave me $10 and he went away. I went away, and then I used the $10 for Krishna. So you can say, well, that wasn't very honest, Devi. What's going on there? But actually, by giving it to Krishna, then how does that affect us?
You reciprocate.
Yeah, Krishna's going to be pleased. Krishna's going to reciprocate, and then as a result, you're going to become more happy. You're going to enjoy the result of that. I mean, what can I do to really enjoy $10? And how much enjoyment can I get out of $10? Not I can eat an ice block and a cup of coffee, and I'll be happy for half an hour. But if I give $10 to Krishna, do you know how much happiness we'll get out of that?
A lifetime.
A lifetime. You'll get eternal life. you'll get eternal blissful life. So it's like we've said before, if the hand directly tries to eat the samosa, you can't enjoy it. But you have to surrender it to the mouth. As soon as you put it in the mouth to the stomach, then the hand gets it. So in one sense, I wasn't cheating him. He said, "This is for you. This money's for you." Okay, well, yeah. If it's really for me, I have to give it to Krishna first, and then after Krishna enjoys it, then it's going to come to me. But it's not directly for me. It's indirectly, So Krishna's the first enjoyer, and it's not that we're not there. It's not that we can't enjoy. Just because we say Krishna is the enjoyer, like if you look at we just went through the last verse of the 5th chapter, saying that Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices and austerities. That's 529. Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices and austerities. This is the peace formula of the Bhagavad Gita. Three things, the peace formula. Who wants to be peaceful? Put up your hand.
Both hands.
So if you don't know these 3 things, then your peace is no peace. You'll never be peaceful. But if we know this, so it's very important to know these things. So the first one is we should know. It's all about knowing these things. So what do we have to know? You have to know that Krishna is the enjoyer of all of our sacrifice and austerities, basically of all of our activities. Krishna is the enjoyer of the results of all of our activities. And then what else do we have to know to be peaceful? Krishna owns everything. He's the proprietor of all planets and demigods and so forth. So that means he owns everything. It's all his. Like if you read the first verse of the Upanishad, that he's the owner and controller of everything. So that's it. Why does he own everything? You could say, well, that's not fair. I would own something. Why is he the owner of everything? So where's the logic of that? Why is it that he owns everything? Jyoti said from downstairs, because everything comes from him. So he created everything. He created everything. So he made it. So it's his. Right? If the guy that made the BMW, right, the BMW manufacturer, that BMW belongs to him. Of course, he could sell it to someone else, but, it belongs to him until he decides he's going to give it to someone. But it's his property, right, because he made it. If like my father, he made his house. He built his house. So whose house is it? Is it my house? No, it's his house.
Your father on the papers only. Final proprietor is Krishna. On the papers,
yeah, I know.
Your father.
I'm just giving a material example, because what my father doesn't realize is, okay, he built the house, but where did all the ingredients that he built the house from come from? He basically stole them off Krishna. It's Krishna's wood and Krishna's bricks and Krishna's concrete and Krishna's glass and Krishna's carpet and everything. So it's all Krishna's property, and my father's grabbed it and then made something, adapted it, into something else. But that doesn't mean it's not Krishna's anymore because we fiddled around with it. No, it's Krishna's property. But you know what I mean? That, that if we make something, then it's our property. So that's what we need to know. And also that Krishna is the friend of everyone. If we think that, we're the friend of everyone, or the Prime Minister is the friend of everyone, or whatever, the pop star is the friend of everyone, the politician or whatever. But that's not the fact. Definitely the politicians are not the friend of everyone. They're pretty much trying to kill everyone now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to get into that. Don't get me started off with that one. But yeah, so we're definitely not the friend of everyone. we're doing well if we don't try to kill everyone these days. And but yeah, Krishna's a friend of everyone. He always loves us. Like I said, right? Who's the only one that's going to accompany us, go with us after this body dies?
Krishna.
Is your mum and dad going to come with you? Is your kids going to come with you? Is your wifey or husband going to come with you? Is your pet dog going to come with you? Who's going to come with you when your body dies to take care of you?
What do they say? What do they say? Don't they say there's no tow bar on a hearse?
You can't take anything. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Can't take your possessions with you. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so Krishna's the only one that accompanies us. You know, the whole time the soul is in the material world, Krishna's with us. And when we go back to the spiritual world, then there's no doubt about it, Krishna's with us there too. So eternally, Krishna's the only one that's with us. Even though we may perform so many sinful activities to support family members and so forth, then you'd say, oh, my beloved wife and kids, I've done so many sinful things, you know, to try to, you know, gratify your senses and please you guys and everything. So will you please come with me after this life, even if I go to hell, because I've done so many sinful things for you guys? Will you come with me to hell? What will they say?
Go to hell.
You go to hell, mate. You must be crazy. Yeah. You can go to hell by yourself. I'm very grateful, of course, that you've ruined your life for helping me enjoy for a few moments. But you can suffer alone, you know, like that. So yeah, no one's going to come with us. But even if we go to hell, Krishna will come with us. But that doesn't mean that Krishna will suffer. He'll still be enjoying as Paramatma within that particular body. But he's there just out of his kindness and compassion for us. And
did the Vedas ever talk about angels?
Yes, but we don't use the word angels. We use the word demigods. Okay. And there's different kinds of demigods. So some of them are called Gandharvas. That means heavenly singers. And then there's Apsaras, that's heavenly dancers. The dancers are called, from the heavens are called Apsaras. The singers, the musicians are called Gandharvas. And then there's Charanas, Vidyadharas. There's so many categories of demigods. So they are what is referred to as angels. They're sort of good guys and girls.
Like guardian angels, because you know you hear about guardian angels like that you know, that look after you in your life and things like that, or is that just that's not part in the Vedas at all?
Yeah, because the demigods are also involved with our lives, you know, very intimately. Like one demigod controls our eyes blinking. Without them, you can't blink. You know, one controls your digesting your food. One controls, you know, your hand moving to scratch your head.
Anyone control your tongue? Because whoever doing this is not doing the very good job for me.
No, actually there is that. Well, I mean, there's one that controls the words that you speak, and that's Saraswati, Mother Saraswati. She's the goddess of learning.
I'm not aligned with the Saraswati. I need to align.
Jayanti was teaching Bhakti Sara and Bhakti Mala a verse with that. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam adiriyat. So Saraswatim. So before reciting the Bhagavatam, one should offer respect to Mother Saraswati, amongst others, because she is in charge of our knowledge, of our learning. So basically, if you don't just want to open your mouth and say, duh, if you want something sensible to come out, then it requires some help from Mother Saraswati. So she's giving us some ability to speak something sensible to speak something sensible, some wisdom like that. I know, like great scholars, sometimes great scholars. There was one, they're called, in Indian language, in Sanskrit, it's called Pandit. If you're a real scholar, it's called a Pandit.
Chanakya Pandit.
Yeah, Chanakya Pandit. So one Pandit, his name was Keshava Kashmiri. He was from the northern part of India called Kashmir. So his name was Keshava from Kashmir. So Keshava Kashmiri, and he was a Pandit. So he was going around India conquering all the other Pandits, means having a debate with them.
Shastra.
Yeah. Digvijay. It was called Digvijay. Digvijay means conquering in all directions. So there's two kinds of Digvijayas. There's ones that conquers all directions with bows and arrows. So if you don't surrender to him, basically he sticks an arrow through your head. And there's another one that conquers all directions with philosophy. So they'll have a debate, and if he wins the debate, well, he's the conqueror, and you're defeated, like that. And then you write it down on a piece of paper that this guy defeated you. So he has this list of all these pundits he's defeated. So this Digvijay Keshava Kashmiri, he had conquered pretty much everyone. The last place he was going was the stronghold of learning in India. Do you know what was the stronghold of, this is 500 years ago, what was the stronghold of learning in India? Where maximum learned people were in India.
Vrindavan?
No, not exactly. There were learned people there, but not the strongest. Definitely there are learned people in temples, yep. But what particular place had the maximum number?
Calcutta?
Warmer, very hot. I'll give you a clue. It has something to do with Lord Chaitanya's birthplace.
Calcutta, Mayapur, something like that.
Mayapur, yep. So Mayapur was the center of learning in India 500 years ago. People from all over India would go to Navadweep, it was called, 9 islands. So Nava means 9, Dweep means islands. So there's islands means the Ganges at that particular place before it comes out to the Bay of Bengal. The Ganges, it rips up the land into different islands. So that area is said to have 9 islands like that. So there were many great pundits there, and other pundits and students would go there to learn from them. So that was a real stronghold there. So he came, that was his finale, would be to defeat all the pundits of Navadweep. And unfortunately, he didn't bank on one particular pundit called Nimai Pandit, which was before he became known as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Gauranga. He was known when he was young as Nimai Pandit. He was very scholarly, and Nimai because he was born under a neem tree. So Nimai comes from the neem tree. So in Indian culture, often then people would take birth outside. The mum would go outside with the what do you call the lady that helps you, the mum, give birth?
Oh yeah, midwife. It's called a
midwife, yeah. So you have your midwife and the mum. They'll just go outside underneath a tree. And you know why would they do that? Why would they give birth under a tree rather than like we do these days with our wonderful hospitals? I said that very sarcastically. With our wonderful hospitals.
But in India, like back in olden days, was inside the house. It's like even villages.
I mean, inside too, but I'll tell you why. Outside under a tree is better. But anyone have any ideas why outside is better than inside, either in the house or in the hospital?
The mess that comes from the birth would be all the bodily discharges that come from birth.
There's a lot of gross stuff comes out at that time, so it's easy to clean up afterwards. And it's probably good fertilizer for the tree, right? And I mean, that's a side point. I'm sure they weren't thinking of that, but yeah, it's a lot easier to clean up, and it's a hell of a lot better environment to be given birth in. Fresh air, natural sunlight, you know, the sun is filtering through the leaves of the tree. It's so nice, isn't it? Has anyone sat under a tree recently?
You got no idea, Prabhuji. It's a lot of pain the woman goes through. Oh, it's got to be a wonderful.
No, I'm saying, well, to make that pain a little bit easier, have you got some nice filtered light?
I think it's much nicer than being in a sterilized hospital.
Yeah, like some white sterilized hospital that stinks of chemicals.
So
You know, what's
I was
that?
in the
One
hospital.
of
My
the-
wife
one
is
of the-
about to punching me. It's so angry.
Yeah. It is a difficult
I was
time.
reading a poem and then she's just punching me.
Yeah, I mean, like hospitals smell like bleach, right? Who likes the smell of bleach? No, I hate the smell of bleach. It smells disgusting. Makes you want to vomit. You know, so like that, it's so hot and bright, fluorescent light shining in your eyes. And I mean, it's not a very auspicious environment. You're already suffering enough, what to speak of having bright lights in your eyes and horrible
Maybe
smells.
I think it's a distracting of the mind. You can say, look, there's a peacock on the branch of the tree, and there is a parrot coming there too.
Yeah, you can look at the parrots, take your mind off it,
Yeah.
take your mind off the childbirth pains. Like that makes it a lot better. Prabhupada, what tree was he born under? Because Prabhupada was born under a tree. Did you know? What
No.
tree was Prabhupada? This is the, if you answer this question correctly, we will reward you. $10.
Yeah, we'll offer to Krishna.
Yeah, if you come over and visit me, I'll make some nice prasadam for
Bob
you.
knows that. Bob knows this.
I
I've
can't,
got this.
I can't
Bob.
remember.
Is it the Bodhi tree? Is the only one I can think of.
A jackfruit
The
tree.
jackfruit.
Jackfruit tree.
Born under jackfruit. They're huge. They can
Bob,
grow.
have you
like-
tried jackfruit, Sabji?
Huh?
No,
Yeah.
I know they stink.
Oh, mate, what a tasteful pakoras you make. Oh, you need a lot of oil in the hand in order to cut it. It's sticking.
I experienced a lot when I was in Cambodia, and as you know, a lot of hotels won't let you take them inside.
Yeah. The smell not so good, but the taste is amazing. Both ripe
And I'm sure it's healthy as well.
and yeah, many health properties also. If I had a bigger greenhouse, I would try to grow a jackfruit tree. Not yet. And
So-
yeah, he was born under a tree also. So
He was born under a jackfruit
yeah, he
tree.
was born outside on his property, his parents' property, outside the house under a jackfruit tree.
Oh,
You can even go there today to Calcutta. It was in Calcutta. You can go. ISKCON has purchased that house, his parents' house, so that
And
it
it's
belongs
still
to
there.
ISKCON. And the jackfruit tree is still there.
Wow.
And you can go to the tree where Prabhupada appeared, where he was born, like that. And you can go to Navadweep.
Yeah,
So
no.
that neem tree is there 500 years
Michael.
ago. That neem tree is there.
We went there.
Yeah, Bhakti Mala went there. Very fortunate. We went there.
Very special.
And everyone that comes takes some of the earth from under that tree. So there's not much earth there. Because everyone takes a bit of earth where Nimai was born, yeah. In a very special place. So yeah, that's
verse. I mean, I just wanted to say, like, I'm definitely not in transcendental happiness, but I was looking over some pictures yesterday before I came to Krishna consciousness and afterwards. And as you know, I'm up and down here, there, and everywhere, but I just feel like that knowing about the self and your relationship with Krishna gives you such a sense of contentment. It's such a relief when you realize that. You know, I might not be in transcendental happiness or be full stable devotee or anything like that, but there's such a sense of relief, I think. When you realize these things, you're just like, oh, well, that's what I'm doing here, or you know what I mean? And yeah, and a contentment, you know. Yeah.
That's a nice realization. Thank you for sharing that, Bhakti Mala. That reminds me, the Nectar of Devotion, which is Prabhupada translated that, was called the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Prabhupada gave that as the Nectar of Devotion. So that book is there. which is basically the science of Krishna consciousness. So in there it's mentioned 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. You can read there. So the first 2 are experienced in sadhana bhakti. So that's what we're practicing. Sadhana bhakti means the practice of devotional service under rules and regulations. The next 2 characteristics are experienced in bhava bhakti. So we're probably not there yet, which means ecstatic, you're in ecstasy, ecstatic stage of devotional service.
Bhava means intention.
So that's spontaneous devotional service, and you're in ecstasy. And then the last 2 characteristics experienced in the topmost stage of prema bhakti, pure love of God. So anyway, in sadhana bhakti, the 2 characteristics you get, which we all get, and Bhakti Mala mentioned one, is called Kleshagni. Kleshagni, which means it burns up the miseries, which means, like Bhakti Mala said, she feels relief from the suffering. So that we experience right in the beginning, as soon as we start practicing our devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, like that, the devotees guiding us, that we start chanting and so forth, taking prasadam, that immediately, this is immediate. I mean, I remember I experienced the relief from miseries the first day I walked into the temple. The first day, the first week, you know, I felt so much relief. Oh my God, how much relief I felt. And it's not because I had a particularly bad life, but I was just a real stressful kind of person, and my mind was just beating me up. So I felt so much relief, and I was just so confused, so lost, so confused. My mind was going overtime. You know, what's the purpose of this world? What's it all about? What's it for? Why is there so much suffering in the world? And my mind was like racing and beating me up. So anyway, I felt so much relief from all that mental anxiety and confusion. And the other one that we experience in the sadhana bhakti stage is called Shubha Dat. It means it brings us all auspiciousness. It brings us all, it means good things. Auspicious means goodness. So good things start to happen in life. And you've all experienced some good things happen to you, right? Since you came to Krishna consciousness, isn't it?
Yeah. I feel as though I've been steered in this direction.
Yeah, that's
by
nice.
some sort of force, and
yeah,
you know, the gates open very easy for me.
Okay, yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
So
yeah.
someone ushered me through. You know that.
Wow, that's nice.
And
Nice
that's Ave Prabhu's energy.
Yeah.
No, it's Krishna's energy. It's not my
Yeah,
energy.
it's Krishna's
Even
energy
my
coming
energy
through you.
is coming from
And
Krishna.
it came at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the right time. Yeah.
Timing also important.
That reminds me. Prabhupada is just amazing. One time he said, at the end of a class, a lady raised a question. So said, Swamiji, why you didn't come to America earlier? Prabhupada immediately said, like without, blinking of an eye, because I was waiting for you to be ready. It was actually, but the time Prabhupada came to America was just the perfect time. If it come in the 50s, it might not have worked. But
And
he
if you
came
come
in the
90s,
60s.
no chance.
It probably wouldn't have worked. But because he came in the 60s, and people were searching for alternatives, for an alternative way of living. And hey, that reminds me of something else. I think we're going to be coming to another kind of cycle of like the 60s was, where people looked at an alternative, because through all this COVID nonsense and everything, people are getting fried out. People are getting fizzled with material life, just like they were in the 60s. Because in the 60s, you know, the kids of the parents in the could see their parents working like an ass, you know, 9 to 5, you know, 7 days a week, just working hard. What for? To buy a house and a car, and they're thinking, God, there must be more to life than this. This like sucks, you know. I'm just not going to go down that road. So, and they were looking for alternatives. Of course, the alternative was drugs, which wasn't a very good one, but they were looking for alternatives. So they were open. They were open-minded because they were looking for alternatives. They were searching for the truth. And some of the fortunate ones met Prabhupada. So, you know, I mean, I personally think and can see that happening again. And astrologers also say, and devotees say, the scriptures predict there'll be a golden age coming. So I can really see that people are just getting squeezed through the ringer of material suffering, and that's good for spiritual life. You know, people are going to be open to, like I'd mentioned, that Prabhupada said to his disciples, in your lifetime, which means not too far ahead, because many of those are like 70, 80 years old now. So that doesn't leave much longer for Prabhupada's prediction to come true, where he's telling his disciples 50 years ago that in your lifetime, you will see that there will be a day where thousands of people are lining up to come to our farms.
I can see that.
Yeah, Bob can see that. Yeah.
Can.
And that's because they're so fizzled with the government, so fizzled with the direction the world's headed, so fizzled with materialism.
I think they are the responsible for that.
Huh?
They are the responsible for that, not outside source. They are responsible.
No, but remember, everyone is an instrument, like a puppet in the hands of the Supreme Being. Remember, he's in control of everything. So we
have got a free will. If they are doing the, sex, rock and roll and drugs, they're responsible. In their free will, they're using that. If they comes to the, difficult situation, they're responsible.
No, we're responsible, but we get so deluded by Maya. But Krishna is giving us a bit of mercy by giving us a few extra whippings. And pick up the backside.
One of the things that is always on my mind, Abhay, is when we were growing up, regardless of what church you were involved in, it put you on the right track with your moral compass.
Yeah.
And as you know, I feel as though more and more people have dropped away from, call it the church or Christianity. And if you'll pardon me for telling you this, but I watch a little bit of YouTube as a learning. I look up a lot of things to do with transcendental knowledge, for the want of a better word. But I was watching, and if you get a chance, this would help you with your. This is all of us, as when you can see how important this is becoming. Mate, look up the streets of Philadelphia, and it shows you all the drug addicts that are cramming the streets of the city, and mate, they're just lost souls.
Yeah.
And I think, like you just said, I can see a time now where people are going to want more. And they're really, the person that was taking you through the documentary was saying many of them are disgusted with themselves, embarrassed with themselves. They don't want to be there.
Yeah.
They probably just can't see there's another avenue. And the problem is, I don't think there's enough teachers now in the world. Blokes my age are more interested in sex trips to Cambodia and Thailand, and we need more teachers.
Yeah.
That's my piece for the day anyway.
Yeah. No, that's good points. Good points. Yeah. So Prabhupada came at the perfect time, and there's some good opportunities always there in different ways.
People even just through COVID, like it's really, really nice to see. You go, when I used to walk through my park, Jasmine Park, and there'd be no one around except for a few drunks. But now it's just full of people. There's people sitting there, walking, having picnics. You go down to the other park, there's just people everywhere, outside, in the fresh air.
Because there was a lockdown, they want to get out.
Yeah, so now they appreciate the outdoors because they couldn't go outside. Now they appreciate it more. Before we took it for granted, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, now we don't. Now we're gasping for a breath of fresh air and some natural sunlight. God, where's the vitamin D? I need some vitamin D. Actually, they're saying that's one of the best ways to keep a strong immune system. So
there's a storm there. Can you hear the storm, Bhakti Bala?
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So is vitamin D. That's one of the best things you can do to keep your natural immune system strong, so you won't.
Do the people know when is the right time for sunbath? They just different timing, and different timing is not good.
And I'll tell you what, according to this, some of these alternative kind of people that are not the mainstream media are saying, that was part of the plan, to keep everyone inside so they don't get natural sunlight, so they don't get vitamin D, so their immune system becomes weakened, so that they're going to become sick, and naturally they're going to become a COVID statistic, a sick disease person. So that was part of the plan, keep you locked down, keep you out of the sunlight so your body becomes weak. So we should try to resist this as much as possible. I mean, even though if there is a lockdown, still you're allowed to go to the park or whatever like that for exercise. So do that, spend as much time as you can. If you have to chant your 16 rounds, so chant outside in the sunshine. Don't chant under a fluorescent light. Chant. I mean, of course, if you chant before sunrise, many people do. I mean, I actually, most of my chanting is done before the sun rises. So, but even, I mean, I spent most of today outside in the garden, so, I'm not getting sunlight.
You got plenty of vitamin D.
I got plenty of vitamin D. So I'm not getting it when I'm chanting, but I'm getting it when I'm working outside. But if someone's not working outside, but at least, like chant outside or something like that, try to do that, and then we're going to have so much less problems.
Pardon me, can you hear that?
Yeah. What is it? Is it hail?
Hail.
Just the beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
I got a bit here too.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow, that's pretty heavy. Wow, it's like a hammer on the roof.
You know what this do, Bhave Prabhu? You know what this hail and thunderstorm does? At the moment, in the Bhakti tree, mango tree, and the Bhakti backyard is about to come up. It's going to ruin all that.
Any small flowers here, anything like that, small fruits.
Yeah, there's a mango tree at the Bhakti tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to ruin all that. It started to coming out. And that hail is no good.
Okay, so let's continue on through the storm of material existence. And this is perfect timing for the hail, because it says the next part is that being situated in that position where we think there's no greater gain than this, one is never shaken, even amidst the greatest miseries. So that this is it, so even though there's the storm of material existence around us, but if we're fixed in that Krishna conscious experience, happiness and realization, then all the storm around us of material suffering and so forth won't affect us. And it's saying this is the ultimate freedom, which is available through this process of yoga. And once we come to this point of samadhi, which means like trance, so it means you're concentrated. See, to really get the benefit of this yoga process, you have to concentrate the mind. That's what samadhi means, trance. So that means fixing the mind. So we're fixing our mind not on a candle, not on a light bulb or on your heartbeat or whatever. People focus their mind on different things, but we're focusing on Krishna. We're focusing on serving Krishna. So that's samadhi for us.
Is it hailing?
You'll have to bear with us. I can hardly hear you here. It's so, and I've got it turned up full. It's just so loud.
Oh, okay. Okay, some obstacles.
It's okay. It's all Krishna's.
Yep, always some obstacles there. Okay, I'll try to speak as loud as I can. So we can start reading the purport now. Let's continue the purport. I think we are up to
The last paragraph?
yeah, the best practice of yoga.
Okay.
Who wants Gulshan, you can read that.
The best practice of you want me? Is it loud enough?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, the best practice of yoga in this age is Krishna consciousness, which is not fulfilling. A Krishna conscious person is so happy in his occupation that he does not aspire after any other happiness. There are many impediments, especially in the age of hypocrisy, to a practicing Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga, but these are so much problem in executing Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. As long as the material body exists.
No, that's enough. Stop. There's a lot there. Did you save your washing, Bhakti Mala?
Oh, it was my car.
Oh, hail damage.
Like that big. I had to move my car because they're like that big. It's everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got hit by the hail too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Full on.
Wow, full on. Okay, so
ask that page you just read, was that 276?
No. Now we're back to our verse for today, 6th chapter, text number 20 to 23.
Oh, sorry.
We're nearly at the end of the purport. So if you go towards the end of the purport, there's a short paragraph. It starts off the best practice of yoga.
If you got a new Bhagavad Gita, it's at page number 294.
Yeah.
294.
The best practice. So Prabhupada said the best practice of yoga in this age is Krishna consciousness, which is not baffling. So baffling means, you know, you get frustrated, you don't achieve your result. That means you're baffled. If you're getting baffled, that means you're getting frustrated, you're not achieving the result that you want. That's what it means, being baffled. Like in today's society, there's a lot of people being baffled because of COVID, because of lockdown, because of losing jobs, because of just so many ways we get baffled, right? If you're stuck inside, you can't do what you want, that's being baffled. If you lose your job, it's being baffled. You know, like that. There's so many ways that we get frustrated, your plans are not being carried out like that. So he's saying here that in Kali Yuga, that this bhakti yoga, you're not going to have that happen to you. You're not going to end up being frustrated or not achieving perfection. It means you will achieve perfection. You won't be frustrated and be defeated. And it's not that you won't be successful. No, you will be successful. Whereas, and that's why does he mention but Krishna consciousness is not baffling? Because remember last week, the purport we finished off last week is talking about the Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, how they do the exercises and breathing and so forth. And it's saying there that this won't be successful. So that's why he's mentioning it, that Krishna consciousness will be successful. Because he's mentioned already that the other processes, they won't be successful in Kali Yuga. If you practice Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, all these different things. In Kali Yuga, you won't be so successful. But in Bhakti Yoga, you'll be fully successful. And remember why that is because the incarnation for Kali Yuga is who?
I don't know.
Who? Oh, you should know this. You should know this. You have to know this. If you don't know this, then you're going to go down the Googler, so you better hurry up and learn it.
I'm going to bloop.
You're going to bloop. So the incarnation for Kali Yuga, and who's giving the Yuga Dharma, which means the recommended process for self-realization. So in every age, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, so 4 ages, right? In every age, there's an incarnation for that age, and they are educating people in the recommended process of self-realization for that age. Like there's a white incarnation, means the color of the body is white, in Satya Yuga, and he gives the Yuga Dharma, the process of self-realization, which is meditation, which is more like this process, the Astanga Yoga, which ends up in meditation.
But in Satya Yuga,
but that's recommended in Satya Yuga, not for this
not
Yuga.
In Kali Yuga.
If you try to practice that process in Kali Yuga, good luck. You're going to get no luck. It's going to be bad luck. You know,
but in that case, that Bhakti Yoga was good in all.
It is. It is.
Okay.
But the other ones are not like that good in all. So, see, you could do Bhakti Yoga and Satya Yuga, but you could do other things as well. Now it's to the point where you can't do anything else. But Bhakti Yoga was always the best process. It's not that meditation was the best, but now we can't do the best, so now we have to do the worst. Bhakti Yoga. No, it's not like that. Bhakti Yoga is always the best, but in other yugas you had other opportunities, but now we have no other opportunities because of us. We're so unqualified. And Treta Yuga, the next age, which you could say is like the Silver Age, Golden Age, Silver Age, Copper Age, Iron Age, right? So that's so in Treta Yuga, like the Silver Age, the process for self-realization was sacrifices, was performing great sacrifices. So, but now you can't do that. It's not possible. We don't have the priests to chant the mantras. We don't have the gold and everything which is required in terms of funding at all the sacrifices. You need a lot of money. So, and then in Dwapara Yuga, the Copper Age, then the recommended process was temple worship. And once again, we don't have the priests. So we had a hard trouble keeping Yuga Cool going. We had trouble getting the priests from India, right? You know, so now with the COVID and everything, it's even more hard. I think it was down to, it was just Kalia doing everything, Kalia and Chit Rupa and Sri Kari, you know, it was getting pretty tight there. I remember there was a time before I came to Australia where there was only, they'd got down to 3 people on the farm, 3 people doing everything, and slowly it built up, and now it's going backwards again due to immigration and COVID and stuff. But yeah, so it's very hard, temple things. And then of course, who's got the money to build a nice temple, you know?
And those materialistic people, they're not using the money for building temple. They are getting money for, you know, beach houses and good cars.
Yeah, people don't have the brain to realize the benefit of building a temple like that. They don't realize. So, and then in Kali Yuga, what's the Yuga Dharma process self-realization is Harinam Sankirtan.
Yes.
If you don't know anything else, you have to know this. You have to know the process of self-realization for Kali Yuga. Hari Nama Sankirtana. Hari means one of God's names. Hari means he takes away all the bad things from your life. If you don't know Hari, it's not Harry. It's Hari. It's Hari. So if you don't know Hari, you're buggered, because you're going to have a lot of bad things in your life. So he takes Krishna, who's known also as Hari, he takes away all the bad things from your life. So if you want to do that, then you have to develop a relationship with Hari.
What was his full name?
Hari. H-A-R. Like in the mantra, we say H-A-R-E, but this is H-A-R-I, Hari.
Yeah.
And Hare is Radha, so that's the female. Hari is the male, is Krishna. Hari. So, and Hari, and then Nama. Nama means name. So the name of Hari, or the name of Krishna. Of course, Krishna has many names, Hari or Krishna. So Rama. So chant basically the names of God, and Sankirtana. Kirtana means chanting. Kirtana, like we say kirtan, Friday night kirtan. So kirtan or kirtana means chanting or singing. And what's the Sankirtan comes from samyak, which means congregational, means coming together. So not just I'm chanting by myself. That's good, but even more better than chanting by ourselves is chanting congregationally, chanting together. Samyak means complete or together. So when many people come together and chant, like we did on Friday nights at the Bhakti Tree, that is the recommended process for Kali Yuga. What we did on Friday night at the Bhakti Tree, or what you do when you go to the temple at Yuga Kula, that, or when you go on the street, do Harinam on the street. That
it's a ISKCON choir.
Process. Eh?
ISKCON choir.
Choir. Yes, yeah, choir, you could say that. So, you know, what the Christians are doing, they're coming together and singing God's praises. That is the process. That is the process for Kali Yuga.
Sorry, and can you tell me, this is, even though every day is a great day to chant, is there one specific day that is more important than the others? I'm talking about out of the 7 days.
Every 14 days, Ekadashi
all
day.
the same. No, the recommendation is Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Kirtaniya, once again, Kirtan, chanting. Sada means always, S-A-D-A. S-A-D-A means always. Hari, once again, Hari. Kirtaniya Sada Hari. So chanting always Hari, God's names. So every day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Day and night, 24/7, whenever you get a chance.
Yeah, but like I said, we're probably not going to be able to do 24, but at least 7 days, you know, we have to chant every day. So, and then whenever we can, definitely whenever we can, when you're getting out of bed, say Hare Krishna. You know, actually, we were taught when we were brahmacharis, when you get out of bed, roll out of bed onto the ground and bow your head down and offer respect to your spiritual master. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nivasesha Sandivadi Paschachari Satarane. So we offer prayers to our spiritual master as soon as we get out of bed. And you can say Hare Krishna, and before you go to bed, same. I bow my head on the ground. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, like that. Offer respect to spiritual master. Hare Krishna. So you always try to remember Krishna whenever you can. When you're in the shower, sing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So always chant anytime. One time, Lord Chaitanya, one boy saw Lord Chaitanya and he was holding his tongue. Remember, you know, Lord Chaitanya, he's Krishna, and he's the incarnation to teach the process for chanting Hare Krishna, the names of God, right? So he was always chanting. So, but when he would go to the toilet, one boy saw him holding his tongue. And the boy said, "Why are you holding your tongue when you go to the toilet?" Because my tongue just wants to chant all the time. And the toilet is such a dirty place. I don't want to chant the pure name in the dirty toilet. So I'm trying to stop my tongue from chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So, but the boy said, that's not a good idea. What if you died in the toilet? Where would you end up if you weren't chanting, if you stopped chanting in the toilet and you died? And don't be ridiculous. How are you going to die going to the toilet? I know people that have died going to the toilet. I know one devotee, he was actually the temple president of the Vrindavan temple. And this is maybe, I don't know, 30 years ago or 25, 30, 40 years ago. Some people didn't like him because, I mean, often, right, the leader is not very popular. The manager or whatever, the king or ruler is not very popular. So sometimes people will try to take him out. So they had the idea, let's kill him when he goes to the toilet. So they fired the gun when he was sitting on the toilet.
Oh.
And luckily, I mean, Krishna's mercy, he didn't die, but he was shot. He was shot while he was sitting on the toilet. So I'm not sure whether he was chanting or not chanting. Maybe he was chanting, that's why he didn't die.
He must be going to the open toilet in the bushes.
No.
Indoor?
No, not in the bushes, no.
Okay.
This was just in the temple compound, which is not in the bushes like that. So that means there's danger everywhere in the material world. I mean, you tell me one situation in the material world where no one has ever died in that situation. You're not going to find it.
No. Anyway.
People have died in the morning, in the midday,
air,
in the evening, in the night. They've died inside, outside. How many people have died in the bathroom? Heaps. You slip over, right? You slip over on the bathtub, bang your head, it's all over.
My auntie died there, and she slipped there, and then nobody knows that. It's been like an hour and two. She didn't come out. So what happening? And we're banging the door. She felt that.
Yeah. So when you go to the bathroom, chant, because you might bang your head or have a heart attack, but you're chanting, so you're going to go back to Godhead. If you're not, I don't know where you're going to go. So that's the recommendation as much as possible. Of course, we're not, spontaneously perfect, and we're conditioned souls, so probably we're not going to chant all the time, but as much as possible. And that's our practice, to practice, and increase that more and more. Like when you do your yoga exercises, right, Bob? When you start, maybe you're going to do 15 minutes exercises. But then after a while, it's going to increase, right? Half an hour, 3/4, 1 hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours. You're not going to do it all in the beginning. But as you practice, you get better at it, and you get more flexible, and you're going to do more and more and more. So the same, in the beginning, it might be just the minimum. You chant for an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, that's it. But then later on, you chant more, and then more, and then more, and then more. I mean, has anyone watched some videos of Prabhupada?
Yeah.
You tell me when you've watched him at any time in a video or pictures, even photographs of him where he didn't have his bead bag in his hand.
Always.
Always. Why? That in between he's talking to someone, he's chanting. In between he's he's walking somewhere and talking with people, he's chanting. Any gaps where he's not doing something else, he's chanting. He's always got his beads in his hand. I'm not saying you have to always carry the beads in your hand. I mean, that helps you. That's the idea, that the beads is engaging your sense of touch. So that's another sense you're using, and it's helping you to keep track of how much you're chanting. So that's helpful. But you don't always have to have your beads. But it's good to be chanting as much as possible. Maybe it's loudly, maybe it's in our mind. It's harder to chant in the mind in Kali Yuga. That's why it's recommended to chant loudly, because our minds are pretty crazy usually in Kali Yuga. So just to overpower the crazy mind, it's recommended to chant loudly. And also it's recommended to chant loudly for another reason. To overpower the crazy mind, yes, but there's another reason why we should chant loudly, why there's more benefit, more benefit if you chant loudly than silent meditation.
Because you can't hear the other people's, crap.
Yeah, that may be there, especially if you're Amrit and under. He'll block out everything else.
Yeah.
But other living entities here, not just human beings, but even the bugs and the birds and the animals here, the chanting of the holy name, they benefit. And because you're helping the other living entities by chanting for their benefit, you get more benefit. So it said that it's 1,000 times better to chant loudly than silently. 1,000 times more benefit to chant loudly than silently. And then if you chant in a group, then there's even multiple times more. You know, one person chanting, that's good. And then what about 10 people chanting? Well, that's 10 times better, right? What if there's 100 people? That's 100 times better. If you're in Mayapur and there's 10,000 people, 10,000 times I experienced that. When you've got the 10,000 times, then automatically you dance. Automatically your hands are in the air and you lift off the ground. You're like a rocket ship. When you got 10,000 people chanting together, it's like a rocket ship. And it's like blast off, stay high forever. Stay high forever, amazing. You know, so coming together and chanting. So that's one thing. These demons that they think they're in charge of the world. Actually, Krishna's in charge of the world, but in Maya, they think they're in charge of the world. They want to break us down by not allowing us to come together anymore. That's why this lockdown is there. Not because they care about our health. Who thinks these higher powers care about our health? No way. Forget it. What they care about is making as much money as possible out of us and then kill us off, so then there's more sense gratification for them. So they don't have to share the limited resources with us. You know, so they're not locking us down for our health. They're locking us down to break down our strength, because like they say, like Prabhupada quoted, many sticks together, you can't break it. You get one stick, even a kid can break it, right? One stick, even a kid can break it. But you put 50 sticks together, even a grown man, even Arnold Schwarzenegger can't break it. Even Superman might struggle. If you put 100 sticks together, you know, you can't break it. So that's what these crazy people do. They try to separate us so that, you know, we can't come together. And that's what they say, strength in numbers. So, but that's what we should always try to do. And I mean, now we're doing it through the internet. We're still coming together, so that's good. You know, we should always come together either physically or through the internet or whatever like that. And that's Harinam Sankirtan, chanting together, you know, like that. So that's very, very powerful. Yeah, so that's the Yuga Dharma. So that's why he was saying it'll not be baffled. So if we do Bhakti Yoga and Kali Yuga, we'll be successful. We won't be frustrated. We won't be baffled, because this is the Yuga Dharma. This is the recommended process for self-realization. And then it says a Krishna conscious person is so happy in his occupation, he does not aspire for any other happiness. So that's what we're saying. You know, once you experience it, you think there's nothing more than that. So you won't desire to get happiness in any other way. You're just so happy to come together with the devotees. You're so happy to chant with the devotees, to talk about Krishna with the devotees, to have prasadam with the devotees, like that. So happy that you won't want to get happiness from anywhere else. Does anyone have any interest to become another Bill Gates? No way. No, thank you. You keep it. We're happy chanting Hare Krishna and doing gardening. I'm happy just growing my veggies and chanting Hare Krishna. I don't want to become, you know, in charge of Facebook or Microsoft or anything like that. Don't have any interest for anything else. You keep your stress. Thank you. I'll keep my happiness growing Krishna's veggies.
Yeah,
So
you can ask me that would I be happy in the Gloria jeans when I had a money and then working and then 16 girls staff, or where I'm happy now?
Hey, why did you only have girls? Hey, were you after the girls? Having 16 girls.
Yeah.
You're trying to compete with Krishna having 16,108 wives.
I don't know about that. It's in my roster. I remember that. So
yeah.
On that time,
the girls are often better at hospitality.
Oh yeah, they are natural learner of coffee. I noticed that more than the guys. The girls, they're fast learner only in the coffee industry. I don't know about the other, but the boys are not good as they just put on the machine. The girls, man, within a minute you get trained, and the boys are still tampering that and then milk frothing, and they're not like they're dumbass. But the girls are natural smart for coffee.
Yeah. And then he said there are many impediments, especially in this age of hypocrisy, to practicing Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga, but there is no such problem executing Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. So yeah, Kali Yuga the meaning of Kali Yuga is the age of hypocrisy and quarrel. And oh my God, that's really coming true now. There's so much hypocrisy. Oh my God. I mean, there's just so many cheats. If you want to establish what the truth is, do you know what? If you're watching the media or some politician speaking, do you know the secret how to figure out what the truth of the matter is? Just take it the opposite to whatever they say, and that'll be the truth, guaranteed.
They never give the right answer.
It just
they don't give an answer yes or no.
Like that, I'll say that that the lockdown will help you to be better off or whatever. So for a fact it's not. The vaccine is safe. No, it's not. And everything like that. It's the opposite to what they say. The COVID is so dangerous. No, it's not at all. The common cold is just the same. So like that. Then. I mean, there's so many documentaries about this now. I don't want to. Gianty's telling me to shut up from downstairs, but there's a lot because, of course, the modern the media is just giving us one perspective, but you can get another perspective, but you won't see it on the media. But there are other medias. There are other medias which give a completely different perspective.
Is that the scripture says that a king is a representative of Krishna on the earth to collecting the taxes?
Yeah, the king is
there's no king. We have a prime minister equal to king.
Yeah, so they're supposed to be, but of course they're not because they don't even believe in God. So I mean, if the leader doesn't even believe in God, how are they a representative of God? Obviously they're not. So that's what I'm saying. So this is the age of hypocrisy. Of course, apart from what people might say, I mean the scriptures say the same thing, that in Kali Yuga, especially the politicians and the leaders, they're like criminals. They're misleaders. They're just so corrupt and they just want power and money and fame and all this kind of stuff. So it's all predicted. I mean, you can read exactly all that written 5,000 years ago by Vyasadeva is predicting what's happening today. What's happening today was written by Vyasadeva 5,000 years ago. You can read it.
And then
exactly what's happening.
Pure Kali Yuga hasn't come yet.
And you know what's coming up a little bit more, what Vyasadeva said, is that the citizens will be so harassed by the politicians that they will flee. That means run away to the forests.
Oh my God.
Therefore, Prabhupada said that you'll see a day when they're lining up to come to the farms. they're gonna run away from the cities because they're going to be so harassed by taxes and cheating and needles and so forth. So many things, so harassed by the government and the military and so forth, that they're going to just try to hide from the crazy so-called leaders who are just hypocrites and cheaters. So it's all predicted. But of course, this is good for spiritual life because it makes us more serious about going home back to Godhead. Because it sort of destroys our plans for living happily ever after in Sydney or Newcastle or Auckland or New York or Los Angeles or London. It's sort of, we realize, I'm not so hopeful anymore that I can live happily ever after in London or, wherever else. I just read that the price of natural gas in Europe has gone up 500% since the beginning of the year.
Whoa.
Can you imagine? That's like putting the thumb screws on. That's ridiculous. 500%, 5 times the price of for heating your house, because it's getting to winter now and we're going towards summer, but they're going towards winter, and the price of natural gas is going up.
Australia went up too. I noticed that last bill was a bit up. I'm here.
Yeah, New Zealand also they've put it up. Yeah. Not that much as Europe, but it's going up. So just be aware of that, and I recommend you get your tramping boots.
That's why I want to go to the hot place, warmer environment.
Get your boots and your walking stick for the forest together, and you'll have your beads with you. And Lord Chaitanya, he was traveling for 6 years throughout the forests all around India, traveling all throughout India, walking through mainly forests it was. And all he had with him was his chanting beads and his copins. You know what a copins are? Gulshan can say.
Yeah, of course. To
get underwear. That's underwear. So yeah. They would wear a loin, called a loincloth. So wear a cloth around his loin. It means very simple. Of course, it's warm in India, so you can do that. You'd freeze if you did that in these countries in the winter. But just very simply, simple clothing and traveling around, and people would feed him wherever he went. People would offer. That's the culture in India. That anyone traveling around, Gulshan would know that. Any visitor, any guest coming, you're immediately very hospitable. And you'd offer some food and everything like that, make them welcome, give them a place to sleep overnight. So no problem to travel around, and you don't need to carry food with you. Like in New Zealand, people tramping, they carry food with them because they're not expecting that the locals are going to feed them.
Yeah, the Westerners are different.
Not a different mentality, but in Indian culture, Vedic culture, different mentality. You're very happy to look after.
If any sadhu comes to home, we have to give some food.
Have to give some food, it's the culture. So
whatever we're cooking, we have to give some to sadhu. Anyone comes that on the door, we have to give that.
So if anyone, so this is an open invitation, if anyone is feeling too harassed by governments or anyone else, come and see us. Come over and you can come and stay with us. And we can chant together and take prasadam from the homegrown veggies. Like that. So
what else? What veggies are you growing?
At the moment, not so much, but I'm starting now. I'm cleaning up the field and sowing all the seeds. So
what's in the season?
Now the season can grow anything. Now spring is coming, so I can start to grow eggplant, snake beans, okra, bindi, all these kind of things. Anything.
Beauty.
Pumpkin, potatoes,
Loki.
Any kind of things, fruits, veggies. Yep.
That's the place to be. Bhaktimala, get your passport ready. In the Christmas time, we are going to New Zealand.
But yeah, the good thing about chanting, you can chant in any condition, even if you're feeling harassed. by whatever, whoever, harassed by your bad health, or harassed by your mind, or harassed by the neighbors or the government or whatever, or your boss at work or whatever, then just chant Hare Krishna. That's the recommendation. And that will help us, like it's saying in this verse, to experience transcendental happiness. So we have to expect that's the situation in Kali Yuga. There's a lot of, harassment from all different sides. But the beauty of Kali Yuga, even though it seems like so difficult, and that's exactly why that we've been given this such simple process to just chant Hare Krishna, because in Kali Yuga it's very difficult. So that we're given the very easiest process, chanting Hare Krishna, Bhakti Yoga, and that will give us the best result. The result you would get after 100,000 years of meditation in Satya Yuga, 10,000 years of sacrifices in Treta Yuga, 1,000 years of temple worship in Dwapara Yuga, you can get in a few years, up to 100 years. So within a short number of years in Kali Yuga, you can get the same benefit. It means get liberated, go back to Godhead. So that's a good deal, huh? You don't have to spend 100,000 years, 10,000, 1,000 years, just whatever you got left. Whatever you got left. If you got 50 years left, 5 years left, 5 hours left, 5 seconds left, just chant Hare Krishna and you can go back to Godhead. I think that's a damn good deal. Who thinks I think that's a damn good deal, isn't it?
Very good deal.
That's a good deal. It's so easy. You don't need lots of money to build a big temple, or you don't have to stand on your head and press your nose or do anything difficult. You don't have to know any mantras for sacrifices. As long as you know Hare Krishna and Rama, you can say that mantra, then you're out of here. I mean, that's fantastic. And you can do it at home, at the beach. You can do it in morning or night, anytime. If your body is sick, if your body's healthy, if you're highly educated, highly stupid, doesn't matter, whatever, man or woman, young or old, anyone can chant. And Lord Chaitanya showed that. Lord Chaitanya gave love of Godhead to anyone and everyone that agreed to chant. He gave them love of God. The only people that didn't get love of God were those that refused to chant. If you don't chant Hare Krishna, God's names, in Kali Yuga, you are buggered. You're up the creek without a paddle. That Durga, who's the goddess in charge of the material world, says if someone doesn't take advantage of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement in Kali Yuga, she said they will remain in the material world for hundreds of kalpas. I don't want to scare you, so I shouldn't say what hundreds of kalpas are. Actually, I will tell you what they are. I'm just joking. But she said that if someone doesn't chant Hare Krishna in Kali Yuga, I will keep them in the material world for hundreds of kalpas. So I'll tell you what one kalpa is, so then you can figure out what hundreds are. 4.32 million years multiplied by 1,000. That's one kalpa. And she said, if you don't chant Hare Krishna in Kali Yuga, she's going to keep you in the material world in her prison for hundreds of kalpas. So now you understand the importance of chanting Hare Krishna, and now you understand the importance of preaching or teaching, or basically helping other people to get them to chant. If you care about other people, you have to find a way to get them to chant. Or take prasadam or get a book. One of those three things. Basically connect them with Krishna consciousness. If they're not, if they're chanting some other names of God, that's good. Like I said, that's okay. But they have to chant. And ideally, even if someone's a Christian or whatever, but still, Lord Chaitanya is the Yuga avatar. So if you're going to get liberated in Kali Yuga, you really do have to have a relationship with the Yuga avatar. So if someone dies without any knowledge of Lord Chaitanya, they're very unfortunate. But if they get to know Lord Chaitanya and they chant Hare Krishna, then they're most fortunate. They're definitely going to be out of here very shortly. Anyway, that's it for me. My time's up. But anyone want to say anything?
Just to thank you.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
to all of you for being here. I cherish it.
Coming together.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.